Up Mornings.
Get Up Mornings.
Wake up. We have company.
Welcome. We are totally honored to have on the line with us today the presidential nominee, Vice President Kamala Harris. Vice President Harris, welcome to Get Up Mornings.
Good morning. Good morning to you, Erica. Good morning, Griff. It's good to be with you.
So glad to have you. Listen, we've been praying for you and rooting for you, but I've got to ask, as a leader with strong history in public service, how has your personal faith shaped your approach to leadership and the way you view your responsibility to serve the American people?
I grew up in the church. I grew up as a young girl at 23rd Avenue Church of God in Oakland, California. And
come on, yeah, area. Sorry.
Is that right? And, you know, from my youngest years, I grew up understanding faith to be a verb, right? It's how you live your life,
yes,
as much as how you pray and how you receive God in your life. Mm-hmm. That is really an expression of the depth of your faith. And I grew up believing in learning of a loving God, and our responsibility, each one of us, to live a life of service in whatever way we can, but in a way that is about lifting each other up. In many, many ways, my faith has guided my work.
Access to affordable health care continues to be a concern for millions. What specific policies would you implement to make health care more affordable and accessible for all, especially in rural and underserved areas?
Well, first of all, our rural areas in particular have for too long been overlooked. And we know that we have increasingly seen rural health care services shut down. And so one of my areas of focus is to deal with that, understanding that obviously we have a lot of folks who live in those communities and need, whether it be maternal health care or elder care. And so it's about how we address that in terms of how we structure the system, including Medicare versus Medicaid coverage. And I'll tell you how I think about that, in particular for our seniors. You know, I took care of my mother when she was sick. She was dying from cancer. And I know what it means to, you know, it's a lived experience. And so many of your listeners, I'm sure, are going through it right now. It's about trying to cook something that they feel like eating, right? Yeah. It's about trying to think about something that can bring a smile to their face or make them laugh. And the work is about, it really is about the dignity, right? And that all people deserve. But it's hard work. And right now, we have a lot of folks who are in what we call the sandwich generation, who are taking care of their parents while they are also raising their children. And it is a lot. God help you if you've got enough savings to hire somebody to come in and help you. Yeah. Otherwise, you got to spend down your savings to qualify for Medicaid, or leave your job so you can do it full time, which means you're cutting off a source of your income. It's not right. And so my plan includes having and changing the system so Medicare then covers the cost of home health care for our seniors. Both so it can help people who are taking care of their parents, juggling it if they're taking care of their parents and their children, but also so our seniors can stay in their home.
Yes.
And we right? And we know that, you know, they want to stay. They don't want to go somewhere else. No. If they can stay in their home and have somebody come in and prepare a meal for them, that's where they want to be. And again, for me, so much of my work is really about the dignity that all people rightly deserve and the dignity in each other that must be respected.
All right, good people, stick around. We have more with Vice President Kamala Harris up next on Get Up Mornings. It's Get Up Mornings. I'm Erica Campbell, and we are still in conversation with Vice President Kamala Harris. Griff, do you have a question?
Madam Vice President, number one, we're early voters on our show, and I'm also a veteran of the U.S. Army. I voted early in Georgia last week. Cheryl voted yesterday in the Washington, D.C. area, and Eric is going to vote today in Los Angeles. Can you tell our amazing listeners who might be on the fence why they should go vote so they can hear it from you, ma'am?
Yes, sir, my Bay Area brother. So,
West Side, BP!
Bay Area. So, first of all, let me say this. You know, we have forever recognized and honored the fact that folks died for our right to vote, and we must honor that. In addition, we know over the course of time, in the last many years, we've seen state legislators, I'm looking at Georgia, for example, who have intentionally tried to make it more difficult for folks to vote. Mm-hmm. In Georgia, they passed a law that says it's illegal to give people food and water for standing in line to vote. Right? The hypocrisy. I mean, what happened to love thy neighbor, right? And so I say then that, one, we must honor those who sacrificed for our right to vote, a right we did not always have. But two, understand how people are trying to silence your vote. And I say never let anybody take your power from you. Never let anybody silence you. And here's the thing that is a bit of a vicious cycle that I also want to point out. And I'm going to use an example, which is the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, which I helped write, okay? Following the murder of George Floyd, Cory Booker, myself, others helped to write a bill that would deal with what we need to do to reform the system around policing. So there were people in the United States Senate who worked against us and did not want it to get passed and basically stalled it from getting passed, okay? Those same people will then look at our folks and say, see, when you elect these people, nothing happened.
Right.
Wow.
Right. Wow.
Think about that, right? So you can be sure if you don't vote, then the people who stand for the progress you want will not be there. And let's not be seduced into this narrative that if you vote, nothing happens. Mm-hmm. Because that means you're taking yourself out the game.
Right.
And things do happen. Mm-hmm. Because I was vice president, because we were elected in 2020, because people stood in those lines in the middle of COVID.
We are talking to my soror, Democratic nominee, Vice President Kamala Harris. Before you go, my soror, how can we pray for you?
Dear. Oh, these next 6 days, here's my prayer. I mean, I do always ask the Lord for strength and guidance, but I would ask you to join me in a prayer for the nation, for bringing us together, for people having a sense of hope and optimism, and to remind us all that our faith teaches us to believe in things that we may not yet see, but what we know is possible and what we know is right and good. Wow. And that would be the prayer I'd ask you to join me in.
Absolutely. Me and all my prayer warriors, we are on it, and we are praying for the next president of the United States of America. Vice President Harris, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Sora Campbell, and thank you, Griff, and all your listeners. And I so appreciate you. So, yes, please go out and vote. And I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Absolutely. I need everybody to vote and take 5 people with you. Family, make it your mission to vote. We just spoke to the Vice President of the United States
amazing.
Of America. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. That just happened. It's Get Up Mornings. Y'all stick around. We got more on the way.
Get up. You're listening to Get Up Mornings with Erica Campbell.